you have such a great protocol in helping people that have been diagnosed with a particular problem, and sometimes to prevent things, but often to they come to you or they use your information because they've already been diagnosed and they want to get better. So what I want to talk to you about today and what's going to help the audience is how do people know they have something wrong? Like medical doctors have wonderful diagnostic tools, but they don't have the best way to follow up in that. And that's the problem, that we need more natural doctors like you out there, naturally minded. But the diagnostic tools, old and new, I know you're doing some newer things now, but in the old days, there might have been even dangerous to get some of these diagnoses. So, talk a little about the old and new technologies that are out there today and what you're doing.
Sure. It's a lot to talk about there. The first thing you were talking about, we could just talk about briefly, it's that I'd like people to live a healthy life and enjoy the benefits, pleasures, and peace being a health nut. When you're a health nut like us, it puts us at peace. We're not worried about our fear of disease, and we're living a life with more sustained good health in our later years. That's the whole point. But unfortunately, most people wait till they get sick to try. The people that we most often see, that I see as a doctor, are willing to make the aggressive nutritional changes I advocate, are usually people who already become ill. They're overweight, they have diabetes, they have high blood pressure, they have asthma, they have psoriasis, they have some kind of issue that are starting to trouble them, arthritic joints. And so usually it's their physical suffering and their medical risks that motivate them to change their diet. And those are the people who I see, and I advocate not baby stepping your way into healthy eating. I advocate jumping in with both feet, because if you keep that one foot in the water of temptation, if you're an alcoholic and still want to drink on the weekends, it pushes you. You never get over your desire to have alcohol, or you never get over your desire to eat pizza or to have, junk food or overeat. But when you jump in with both feet, the desire to imbibe in self-destructive behaviors loses its hold over you in time. But you don't ever lose. It doesn't get away from that alien inside of you pushing you to self-destruct unless you really have a space of time where where you're living healthfully and have your body retrain your body and retrain your brain, because we're redoing the neuroplasticity and nutritional level and the biochemistry of the brain to no longer crave. And that takes time. So the first thing is, of course, yes, I, of course, would want people to make those choices earlier and not wait till they get so sick sometimes. So in our practice, so my daughter, Kara, who's a naturopathic physician, and myself, we're opening a new practice in San Diego here. And we have new high technology equipment and diagnostic tools. And one of the reasons, advantages for having such high tech diagnostic modalities is that we can show people they have problems that are going to develop in the near future, even if they haven't developed yet, and motivate them to make the lifestyle changes we want them to make, which many people won't make unless something's wrong with them. You know what I mean? So
it's early, catching it early. It's like they say.
Catching it early when, like, let's say you catch a breast cancer 10 years before it could ever be seen with a mammogram.
Yeah.
Because, so you actually, before it even coalesces into form a mass, we see you have breast cancer or prostate cancer cells in your body. And now is the chance to start our protocol to prevent cancer. And we can prove that these cells disappear and your body gets in better health again before the cancer can ever be diagnostically recognized. So we're saying here that there are some. So I'm not advocating all the people get all these tests, but but we're in the community that we're in, and people come in to be evaluated for screenings, it does give us and even not just finding cancer, of course, we're finding inflammation, we're finding cellular toxicity, we're finding cellular dysfunction, we're finding nutritional deficiencies. When we can use our advanced diagnostic modalities to find problems in people's blood or tissues, then it gives us extra armamentarium, extra reason to induce their lifestyle change, which they they weren't really living. We can get them to commit to a healthier lifestyle. So I think if everybody committed to a super healthy lifestyle, we wouldn't need any of these tests. We didn't need so much of this screening tests. You know what I mean?
Sure. I
And even,
used go ahead, go ahead.
well, you could jump in.
Oh, so I used to every year would take something called the longevity blood profile test, which looked at cancer, all the cancer tumor markers to see if they were all okay and if any were going up, you know why, and to monitor this. And I would recommend people do this. And this is just on blood work alone. But even going beyond the blood work, you're talking about now we could show people through these diagnostic uh, ways this is what's going on at a super early age. So it's not really a preventative that you're promoting because the diet itself is preventative, but what you're saying is to slow it down and reverse it before it becomes a problem, right?
Yes, because obviously, conventional doctors want to catch things so they can remove them and do surgery or treat it before it spreads. We want to catch things even earlier so we can get it before it even coalesces into a mass to be seen by the human eye. We want to get it before, way not even near it spreads, but before it even forms a cancer, when it's really early stages, because the earlier when the cells, before they coalesce into a mass, they're harder for the immune system to seek out and destroy those cells. The earlier we catch it, then the nutritional excellence has the body's own immune system can prevent, obviously cancers and most of these later life diseases. The other thing we're talking about here, and we have to put this in the context of conventional medicine, is that conventional screening methodologies cause cancer. So when you you get mammograms and they compress the breast and then radiate it, over the years of doing that increases the risk of developing breast cancer. And the dense breasts that are harder for mammograms to read accurately suck up radiation more and are more damaged by mammograms. Now, so one of the problems with mammograms, they're uncomfortable, they expose you to radiation. And the third problem is that they don't work very well. It's a very poor screening methodology. It's all doctors have, so they claim it's the greatest thing since sliced bread, but it's not really a good modality because it overdiagnoses and underdiagnoses. It misses cancers and it overdiagnoses cancers, meaning it's not accurate. And not only are the mammograms not accurate, but the radiologists, when they look at a lesion, they can't tell whether it's cancer or not. They just know this could be a cancer. This has a 1 in 50 chance of being cancer, right? So if it has more than like a 1 or 2% chance of being cancer, they send you for a biopsy. So now you have a woman who goes to get tested, and she has something that's found in the breast. It's not the chance of being cancer is 1 in 100, but she's sent for a biopsy because the radiologist can't chance missing a 1 in 100 case, right? So she gets sent for a biopsy, and now she has all this fear and anger and upsetness, which is bad for her health. And then the biopsy comes back as cancer. 30% of the time, when some benign mass in the breast would never have caused death, would never have grown to metastasize, would never have been a real active cancer, is diagnosed as invasive lobular carcinoma or invasive ductal carcinoma. It's diagnosed as a traditional cancer because the pathologist can't make a mistake because they'll get sued. So they can't tell if a cancer is a cancer or not that's going to shorten your lifespan, metastasize, and cause death. So what they have to do is overdiagnose not to miss any. So that problem with mammograms is called overdiagnosis, which means about 30% of women who get diagnosed with breast cancer never had a cancer that would grow, metastasize, and kill them, and they were better off never have known they had it and being not treated because the fear and angst and the radiation and the chemo they're receiving now can cause other cancers, accelerate cancer, and cause heart attacks and strokes. So mammograms puts you into a system that accelerates your cause of death and destroys your peace and happiness in your life, because your chance of being false diagnosed is greater than your risk of finding a cancer that could have saved your life, right? So that's not saying that some people aren't helped by mammograms. It is saying, though, that for every one person that are helped, there's numerous people that are hurt. Did you follow me? So overall, if we look at populations that do undergo mammography screening or not, they don't see an improvement in lifespan of those populations because any person that's helped is offset by people that are hurt. But it's not just being offset to the people that are hurt. It's also that in the group of people that have been, let's say, some helped and some hurt with no overall lifespan, in that group, you created millions of people now are lived with fear and getting needless medical treatments and going and getting side effects of medical treatments and getting treated for things they need to be treated for. So you know how they say in medicine, first do no harm? Well, it's really the opposite. It's first intervene and treat to protect the doctor from being sued, even if you hurt the patients. That's our new mantra in medicine. Hurt the patient to benefit the doctor. Everything in medicine is done to protect the doctor from being sued, whether you hurt people or not, which is unfortunate that we're in a very litigious society. And I'm dealing with this all the time, that people want to sue you for making mistakes. So doctors feel they can't make mistakes. So they have to diagnose people with cancer when they don't have cancer.
So you being a doctor, I mean, is this something they've ever discussed in medical school? Like, not the overdiagnosis to make sure you're safe, but I'm sure it's more now than before about the suing and the medical practice. Is there a fear amongst medical doctors today when they're doing what they do? Like how high on a list is like, I'm gonna get sued if I recommend something or if I get a gut feeling and say something? Like, how much higher on the list is that today than it's ever been before?
It's been this way as far as I can remember. It's not less, maybe more, but the point is that doctors practice defensive medicine. When you go to an emergency room with a problem, they'll give you a CT scan of your head, exposing your brain to radiation that's going to be very damaging to your future or your chest, just to protect themselves so they don't miss something. But they're not caring about your risk from being overly radiated 20 years down the road. They're just concerned about not missing anything that they might find that would cause them to be sued. So medical care is generally practiced. Don't worry about hurting the person long term. Just make sure what you're being seen for at the moment, you're not going to miss anything, which you're not going to be sued over, even if you hurt the person and looking for something. So you have to look for things and try to scan people with dangerous technologies, even if it shortens their lifespan long term, because that you're not going to be sued for. When they're 90 years old, nobody's going to track back their brain tumors or their later life cancers to the CT scan they got 20 years ago when they went to the emergency room. You follow me?
Well, with what you're saying, which is known information, can a doctor be sued for overdiagnosing someone or no? Because I've heard stories of somebody's, like, they've gotten better from uh can a certain cancer or something. They went back to the doctor and the doctor said, well, maybe you didn't have cancer or something. Like, they wouldn't admit that they were cured. So they might say something like,
No,
well,
it's
maybe you never had it, but can
No,
they?
it's funny. It's funny because most of these women who swear by mammograms, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. I had a mammogram that saved my life. They found an early cancer before it metastasized, and they removed it, and now I have no cancer. Again, they don't even realize that the fact that that's the exact thing we're talking about. They never needed to be diagnosed to begin with, and they never need to be treated to begin with. These people who think they don't have cancer, that the mammograms and the chemotherapy saved them, did not save them at all. They would have been just as well without the chemotherapy, and now they're going to have subsequent problems and shortened lifespan from the chemotherapy that they're not relating. They will never relate back to the chemo they got. Well, anyway, the point is now that the newest technology does aid in this problem of overdiagnosis. And let's be clear here. I'm saying that when you get a biopsy after an abnormal mammogram or MRI or ultrasound, and the MRIs and ultrasounds are just as bad because they even have more false positives, leading to more people going for biopsies, causing, right? More people needing to be checked out these things they find. They find more junk in the breast. They have to get biopsy. And I'm saying when a pathologist looks at a microscope and biopsies your cancer, he's wrong 30% of the time. That is a that is not a precise diagnosis. It's imprecise and it's called overdiagnosis. And scientists estimate that 30 to 40% of diagnosed cases of pathology diagnosed biopsies are overdiagnosed, where the person never needed to take the treatments they're getting because of their pathology reading as cancer.